We've got a very considerable forensic strategy, as you would expect. It does include the dog. That is being staged through the laboratories. I'm not in a position, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to give a running commentary on the many exhibits and the forensic strategy that we have underway. But of course, we've considered all opportunities around Toby.
Have you managed to actually ascertain the time you think she was killed? Because there is quite a time frame. What do you know the time frame yet from when she left home to when she was killed?
We were called shortly after 4 p.m. On Tuesday of last week, 8 minutes past 4, by members of the public who came across her. We are, of course, now working backwards from that time, looking at every opportunity, communications, data, many reports, as I said, over 700 pieces of separate information from members of the public to help us narrow that down. But of course, it's not going to be possible or appropriate for me to give you a precise time, if that ever is possible, of course.
Mr. Richards, Shepherd Party, Man Online, you mentioned that you were looking for people to come forward Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Why is that? Why the Monday before?
Well, of course, we're particularly interested in Tuesday itself. But as you know, I'm keeping an open mind. I do not know the motive of this attack. I do not know if it's somebody she knew. I do not know if it's a stranger attack. Of course, that possibility is particularly frightening to local residents. I don't know, therefore, if it's someone who's regularly in the area, therefore increasing it to a 3-day period. But we're genuinely interested in any information. If anybody has got any concerns, any suspicions, we really want to hear about it. We'll be calling house to house in Elsham. That process has already started. It's really important that we give people an opportunity to provide any information and, of course, raise any concerns with us.
Yeah. Well, there's been some reports that she may have been followed the day before on the Monday. Have you had any clues on any sort of realistic line on that at all?
As I said before, I'm not going to give a running commentary on every piece of information. We are really grateful to the public. They've given us some incredibly helpful information. We are triaging that. We're prioritising where appropriate. We have many priority lines of inquiry, but I'm not going to speak about individual pieces of information.
Kit Bradshaw from ITV News. When you spoke to us last Friday, you said you had no suspect, no clear motive. Do you feel now that you are significantly closer to catching Julia's killer?
Every day that passes, the investigation progresses. We genuinely have many lines of inquiry, many priority actions, but it would be inappropriate for me to try and guess at a motive. I'm keeping my options completely open. I'm going to allow the investigation team to become blinkered in any way. We need to consider every option, and we continue to do that.
And is it still the case that you have no suspects and no clear motive identified?
Nobody has been arrested at this stage, and you're absolutely right. We do not know with any certainty what the motive of this attack is. There are clearly a number of possibilities.
And earlier today we saw quite a big search operation in Women's Wolds, about 1.5 miles from the crime scene. Can you shed any light on what your officers are looking for quite away from the crime scene itself?
Well, we're searching a number of locations, as you're clearly aware. We're trying to establish the route that the offender approached the location where Julia was murdered, and of course the route, if different, that the offender left that location. So we're considering a wide range of locations in the hope that it gives us that crucial piece of evidence.
If you have no clear motive and no suspect, where does the investigation go from there?
I'm fortunately in possession of an absolutely fantastic specialist murder investigation team. They're within the Serious Crime Directorate. This is what they do for a living. It's a hugely challenging investigation. Of course, in many such investigations, we have a suspect right from the outset or very early on. It's what makes it so challenging, but it's why we've dedicated our most experienced investigators. It's why we're keeping that open mind and we're looking at every single possibility. But of course, it's why I'm appealing today for as much assistance from the public as possible. I think the public are one of our most important assets in this investigation, and they've been absolutely fantastic in their support, but I do need that to continue, and I'm hoping the picture we've released today might just spark a memory in someone.
Sam Lennon from the Dove Mercury. What is it you would need from the public above all? For example, piecing together the final steps of our last movement and our last hour or so, sight of anybody acting suspiciously in the area, what would be the most important piece of information you could have right now?
I mean, of course, what is particularly helpful to us is anybody who actually saw Julia herself or saw anybody in the area to the south of Elsham that I've described. That's actually crucial for us. We're trying to establish who was in the area at the time so that we can speak to them and help to piece together exactly what happened.
So do you have any idea of how the killer arrived, or was there a vehicle? Did you report to a vehicle there before?
This is a very remote location, so I think people did not approach this scene in a conventional vehicle, most likely on foot. It's a popular dog walking area, but of course other vehicles, agricultural vehicles, off-road vehicles, bikes would be capable of reaching that area. Again, we're considering every option, and of course we're studying the area very, very carefully. But we've got to be careful that we keep that open mind because it's popular. It's a leisure area. Evidence of, for example, a bike or someone walking through the area isn't necessarily linked to the offence.
Have you had some information that there might be an off-road vehicle or a bike suspiciously in the area?
As I said, we've been blessed with a huge amount of information for the public, but I'm not going to provide a commentary on every single piece of information.
Do you have any, I know the things you can't say too much about, but do you have an abundance of forensic information perhaps to keep you moving?
Forensic evidence is actually absolutely key to every such investigation. So yeah, we've got a large team of dedicated forensic specialists and experts who are examining the scene. As you've seen, we're doing a fingertip search of the scene. That is going to take a long time. I'm going to need the continued support of the local community. We are likely to be in that area for a number of weeks, but it's absolutely crucial that we exploit every single forensic opportunity from that scene, and we'll do that in a staged way, and of course hope that will bring us a breakthrough.